The Egyptian Book of the Dead. The ancient Egyptians never saw death as a simple ending. To them, it was the beginning of a journey into another world, a long passage where every soul had to face challenges alone, with no one to help except for the preparations they had made in life. That belief is why, for centuries, the Egyptians poured so much energy and faith into building colossal monuments like the pyramids. These structures were not just tributes to their gods, but were also intended as protection for their souls on the path to eternity. For the Egyptians, every day of life was a day spent preparing for that final moment. But material things were not the only preparations the Egyptians made for the afterlife. They also created a collection of secret knowledge, a compilation of spells and rituals that, they believed, could help the soul overcome every obstacle in the world beyond. Today, researchers call this collection the Book of the Dead, though its original name in ancient Egyptian meant the chapters of coming forth by day. Each book was a unique version, personalized by priests and scribes for the individual who had died, with the hope that every soul would have a chance to survive the difficult journey ahead. The content of the Book of the Dead was often carefully written on anything connected to the deceased, from the surface of the coffin to the walls of the tomb to precious items like the golden funerary masks placed over the faces of kings, the most famous example being the golden mask of Tutankhamun. The Egyptians believed that these spells and rituals did more than protect the soul. They served as a map, guiding the dead so they would not lose their way in the darkness of the afterlife. According to Egyptian beliefs, a soul could not enter the eternal world immediately after death. First, it had to undergo a strict judgment in the presence of 42 gods, the most important being Osiris and the sun god Ra. Each god acted as an examiner, requiring the soul to answer questions or pass tests they set. If the soul failed, it would be held back. At the end of this journey came the most important ritual, the weighing of the heart. In this ceremony, the heart of the deceased was placed on a scale and weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess who represented justice and truth. If the heart was lighter than or equal to the feather, it proved the person had lived an honest, upright life, unburdened by sin or lies. The soul would then be allowed to enter paradise, to join the gods and live in eternal happiness. But if the heart was heavier, weighed down by guilt and wrongdoing, the soul would be devoured by the monster Ammit and vanish forever. This core belief is what led the ancient Egyptians to treat living honorably and preparing for death as a sacred duty. They invested in rituals, spiritual objects, and mystical knowledge, not only to protect the souls of loved ones, but also to ready themselves for the test that no one could avoid. The Book of the Dead, therefore, was more than a set of spells and ceremonies. It was a testament to the Egyptian longing for immortality, a deep wish to keep living on the other side, a hope preserved across thousands of years of history. The Tibetan Book of the Dead. In the Tibetan worldview, death is not a finish line that closes everything, but merely a transition between two states of existence. For them, the moment of leaving this world marks the beginning of a 49-day journey in an intermediate state called Bardo. This is neither heaven nor hell, but a vast, silent space where each soul must confront its own karma, memories, fears, and hopes accumulated over a lifetime. This belief has been preserved and passed down through a unique text known as the Bardo Thodol, more widely recognized as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Tibetans believe that thousands of years ago, the Indian master Padmasambhava brought Buddhism to the highlands, and along with it, these sacred instructions for souls newly separated from their bodies were born. The book does not focus on harsh judgment by deities. Instead, it emphasizes that after death, the soul will go through a period of intense inner challenge. During these 49 days, each week is considered a smaller trial, where the soul faces its own illusions, emotions, and the consequences of karma. Sometimes, souls might see visions of deities, or experience joy, fear, even regret, and all of these experiences will ultimately guide the soul toward a new life, one that matches the karma it has built up before. Tibetans believe that a soul cannot pass through the bardo smoothly without the help of the living. Throughout those 49 days, family and the wider community regularly gather to chant, pray, and perform rituals in hopes of easing the journey for the departed, guiding them through challenges and toward a favorable rebirth. They believe that with support, compassion, and prayers, a soul may be reborn into a higher, nobler existence. But if there is no remembrance, no one praying, that soul may be drawn into lower realms, facing more suffering and misfortune. Through the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Tibetan people not only teach about impermanence and the endless cycle of rebirth, but also underscore the power of family bonds, compassion, and forgiveness. The Thing, a 66-million-year-old giant egg in Antarctica. It all began in 2011, when a research team exploring the Antarctic coastline discovered a strange object buried beneath layers of thick ice. Its shape didn't match any fossil they had ever seen before, a shriveled, wrinkled mass looking like a deflated ball, about 28 centimeters long and 18 centimeters wide. No one in the group knew how to classify this fossil, and no one suspected they were holding a key that could change our understanding of the ancient world beneath the ocean. For nearly a decade, this mysterious object was forgotten in the storage of Chile's National Museum of Natural History. Many researchers saw it over the years, all left puzzled by its odd appearance, until 2020, when a team from the University of Texas decided to examine it using modern technology. They were stunned to discover that it was, in fact, the fossilized shell of a giant egg, and not just any egg. It turned out to be the softest type of eggshell ever recorded in the history of science. Because of its enormous size, this egg became the largest fossilized eggshell ever found, and the second largest egg ever laid by any animal, only surpassed by the eggs of the extinct elephant bird from Madagascar. Analysis of the shell's membrane revealed it belonged to an ancient marine reptile, most likely a mosasaur or a pliosaur, the enormous predators that ruled the oceans more than 66 million years ago. What made this even more remarkable was that scientists had always believed these sea reptiles gave birth to live young underwater, since no fossilized eggshells had ever been linked to them before. This discovery completely overturned what scientists thought they knew about how prehistoric marine reptiles reproduced. The thin, soft shell showed that mosasaurs or pliosaurs might have laid eggs in water, much like some modern sea snakes, or perhaps they used sandy beaches so the eggs could develop and then hatch as young creatures. This theory became even more convincing when, in the area where the Thing was found, archaeologists also discovered the fossilized bones of many young mosasaurs that once lived there millions of years ago. The Thing is not just an unusual fossil, it's a vivid reminder of the untold mysteries hidden in Earth's evolutionary history. It reminds us that beneath Antarctica's eternal ice, the incredible stories of the past are still waiting to be discovered. The Greek afterlife. In ancient Greek belief, the afterlife was divided into different neighborhoods, each one reserved for a certain kind of soul, based on how a person had lived and how they were remembered by their loved ones. Here, the way you lived your life, the great things you achieved, or even something as simple as whether your family still remembered you, could all decide the final fate of your soul. The most coveted place was Elysium, the land of light and eternal glory. Only heroes, those who had made great contributions to their community, or anyone who had accomplished something extraordinary, could reach this realm. Elysium was, in every sense, a true paradise, a place where souls could enjoy abundance, peace, and freedom from the suffering of the mortal world. Most ordinary people, however, were taken to the Asphodel Meadows, a realm where everything passed by quietly and nothing stood out as special. There, souls existed in a muted state, feeling neither joy nor sorrow, as if they were mere shadows drifting silently along the endless flow of time. And then there was Tartarus, the place reserved for the wicked, for those souls burdened by grave sins. It was a land of punishment, where they endured endless pain and suffering. In Tartarus, these souls were tormented not only by memories of their own wrongdoing, but also by harsh, never-ending trials. Beliefs about ghosts in ancient China. In ancient Chinese culture, the afterlife was not described through a detailed guidebook like in Egypt or Tibet. Instead, it revolved around beliefs about spirits, ghosts, and the lingering presence of those who had passed away. The Chinese believed that after death, the soul did not simply disappear, but remained attached to the mortal world, sometimes becoming a wandering ghost. These spirits could be gentle, but they might also carry resentment, a thirst for revenge, or simply a reluctance to leave the realm of the living. One of the most familiar images in Chinese folklore is the Naihei Bridge, a sacred crossing that every soul must pass to reach the afterlife. It was believed that if you had lived a virtuous life, treated others well, and acted with kindness, you would be allowed to cross the Naihei Bridge and continue your journey into a better world. On the other hand, those who had committed many sins would fall into hell. The ancient Chinese underworld was said to contain 18 levels, each one reserved for a particular crime, with punishments more severe than anything imagined in the 9 circles of hell from Western mythology. For the Chinese, the connection between the living and the dead was deeply meaningful. They believed that the spirits of ancestors were always watching over their descendants, either protecting them or reminding them of unfinished duties. There were also legends about water ghosts, the spirits of those who had drowned and whose bodies were never recovered. Water ghosts were believed to be especially dangerous, always searching for a new body so they could return to the living world. The ancients also believed that if a funeral was not properly performed, the soul would never find peace and would become a ghost, haunting families and the wider community. For this reason, funeral rituals were carried out with great care and strict observance. In some dynasties, the law even imposed harsh punishments on anyone who failed to properly honor the dead. This was not just a duty of the living, but a responsibility to maintain harmony between the two worlds. Looking back, it is clear that the fear of returning spirits was an inseparable part of the ancient Chinese mindset. Worries about restless ghosts, water spirits, or ancestors not at peace drove people to uphold rituals, believe in retribution, and strive to fulfill their obligations to both the living and the departed. The Plains tribes of North America, Blackfoot and Cheyenne. Across the vast grasslands of North America, the Plains tribes such as the Blackfoot and Cheyenne developed their own distinct beliefs about life and death, beliefs that reflect a deep connection with nature and a rich spiritual tradition. Although they lived side by side and shared a part of their history, each tribe imagined the afterlife in its own way, filled with unique colors and meaning. For the Blackfoot people, death was not seen as something terrifying or harshly judged. They believed that after leaving this world, the soul journeyed eastward to a legendary land known as the Sand Hills. This place was viewed as a peaceful paradise. There were no judging gods, no daunting challenges, only tranquility and rest for the soul. One remarkable custom of the Blackfoot was that they did not bury their dead in the earth. Instead, they placed the bodies up in the trees, allowing the birds to naturally consume the flesh. As soon as someone passed away, the entire camp would immediately move on, dividing the possessions of the deceased among their closest kin, believing that this practice would keep the soul from being tied to the living world and help it find its way easily to the white sands beyond. For the Cheyenne, beliefs about death carried both a sense of closeness and mystery. They believed the soul of the departed stayed near the family for 4 days. After those 4 days, the soul would travel toward Siana, the end point of a long branch of the Milky Way, a place their legend said was the world of ancestors and departed spirits. Interestingly, the Cheyenne believed that even after crossing over, the soul could return to visit its descendants in dreams, bringing advice or comfort. This enduring bridge between generations helped preserve the tribe's traditions and spirit, ensuring that their legacy would never fade away. The Towers of Silence, Zoroastrian rituals. In the ancient land of Persia, a religion with ideas far ahead of its time took root and went on to profoundly shape human civilization. This was Zoroastrianism, also known as the religion of fire, founded by the prophet Zarathustra. It was one of the world's first monotheistic faiths, worshipping Ahura Mazda, the god of light and truth. Many scholars believe that concepts such as the judgment of souls, hell, and the apocalypse first appeared in Zoroastrianism and later spread to other major religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. To the Zoroastrians, every element in nature was sacred and pure and had to be protected from any kind of pollution, even from the bodies of the dead. They neither buried nor cremated their dead, believing that burial would defile Mother Earth, while burning would pollute the sacred fire. Instead, they practiced a unique ritual known as the Towers of Silence. When a person died, the body would be placed atop a round tower, usually built in a high, isolated spot in nature. There, the corpse would be exposed to the sun and wind, quickly becoming food for flocks of vultures. Zoroastrians believed that the vultures not only helped dispose of the flesh, but also played a part in purifying the soul, freeing it from all earthly bonds. Once the bones were clean and bleached by the sunlight, they were gathered and placed into a deep well within the tower to continue decomposing naturally, without contaminating any part of the earth or sky. To them, this was not abandonment, but a way of returning the body to nature in the most complete and respectful way possible. Zoroastrians believed that only when the physical remains had fully dissolved could the soul be truly purified and ready to move on to the next world. However, in modern times, this tradition faces the risk of fading away. The vulture population has plummeted due to environmental changes and human activity. Today, many Zoroastrian communities must search for new ways to maintain their ancient beliefs and rituals. The Vikings and the Norse afterlife. For the Vikings, death was not the end, but simply a transition into another world. They believed that every soul had its own path after leaving the earthly realm, and the final destination depended largely on the way a person had lived. To them, the most important qualities were not morality or judgment, but courage and achievements won on the battlefield. Viking warriors who fell in combat, if chosen by the Valkyries, the warrior maidens, would be carried off to Valhalla, Odin's great hall of glory. There, their souls would enjoy endless feasts as a worthy reward for their bravery. Some warriors instead would be taken to Folkvangr, a peaceful field overseen by the goddess Freya, also reserved for the courageous and kind-hearted. Ordinary people, on the other hand, would go to Hell, a cold, shadowy realm deep beneath the earth. It was a place without punishment, but also without joy or glory. For the Vikings, however, existence in hell was not something to be feared. It was simply a continuation of life in a different form. What made the Norse view of the afterlife especially unique was their belief in spirits that could not move on. These might become hagbui, ghosts that haunted their burial mounds. They believed that if a funeral was not properly conducted, or if the deceased were dishonored, the soul would find no rest. In such cases, a draugr, a restless dead, could return to the living world, spreading terror throughout the community, destroying crops and even harming the living. For the Vikings, the way they prepared for death, how the community remembered and respected the departed, all of this played a part in determining the soul's fate. Their beliefs highlighted the importance of honor, bravery, and respect for those who had passed away. Ancient Romans and death. For the ancient Romans, death was not just an event. It was an opportunity for families to display their traditions, lineage, and even their wealth before the community. To them, a funeral was a grand spectacle where every detail reflected the social status and honor of the deceased. Romans believed that the way a funeral was conducted not only showed respect for the dead, but also affirmed the prestige of the entire family line. Wealthy families often built massive tombs outside the city, decorated with marble statues and inscriptions recounting the achievements of the departed. They would even create wax masks molded from the real faces of their ancestors. On the day of the funeral, family members would wear these masks, parading through the streets and reenacting the appearance, words, and even the triumphs of past generations. This was how the Romans preserved memory and family tradition, ensuring that each generation remembered its roots. For ordinary people, burial was much simpler. Often, the ashes were placed in niches inside communal tombs called columbaria. Yet whether rich or poor, all Romans believed in the importance of maintaining rituals, visiting graves, and holding memorial feasts so that the spirits of the dead would not be forgotten. The Roman concept of the afterlife was strongly influenced by the Greeks, with Tartarus as the place where wicked souls suffered eternal punishment. However, the Romans added their own ritualistic character to every aspect, turning the afterlife into an extension of earthly society where people continued to maintain their status, honor, and legacy. Ancient astronauts in the Val Camonica Valley, a mystery beyond time. Hidden deep within the majestic mountains of northern Italy, the Val Camonica Valley stands like a vast stone chronicle, preserving secrets that have remained unsolved for thousands of years. Here, etched into the cold gray rock, more than 300,000 carvings left by the ancient Comuni people have withstood centuries of wind and rain, silently telling the stories of a vanished culture. First discovered in 1909 by mountaineer Walter Lang, the rock carvings of Val Camonica immediately caught the attention of scholars and researchers. Yet it wasn't until the 1920s, when archaeologist Giuseppe Bonafini conducted thorough surveys of the area, that the true significance of this treasure trove began to be understood. New carvings continued to be uncovered decade after decade, transforming Val Camonica into the site of the largest collection of prehistoric rock art in Europe and Italy's very first UNESCO World Heritage Site. What has turned the Val Camonica Valley into a legend isn't just the sheer number of carvings, but the mysterious details etched across the stone faces. Among the most striking are the so-called ancient astronauts, strange human-like figures that appeared as far back as 8000 BC. These carvings depict people wearing large rounded helmets, holding objects that resemble tridents, and clad in layers of what can only be described as unknown armor. This unusual imagery has sparked heated debate and wild speculation. Did the Comuni actually witness visitors from beyond our world? Or were these simply mythical symbols created by the vivid imagination of ancient people? The mystery only deepens when you notice a particular four-armed symbol known as the Rosa Communa recurring in these carvings. This motif not only appears repeatedly throughout Val Camonica, but is also found in the rock art of other ancient civilizations, from South America to ancient Egypt. Today, the Rosa Communa is the official symbol of the Lombardy region, serving as a lasting reminder of the Comuni heritage that cannot be erased. Yet behind these carvings lies an entire culture that is now almost forgotten. Who were the Comuni? Why did they create these enigmatic images? Were the round-helmeted astronauts of Val Camonica merely the product of ancient fantasy? Or could they be evidence of encounters between early humans and otherworldly beings? What do you think about the ancient astronauts of Val Camonica Valley? The Iron Man statue, a meteorite treasure in the Himalayas. In 1938, an expedition led by the scientist Ernst Schaefer set out from Germany for Tibet with a very special mission. This expedition was backed by Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, a man infamous for his obsession with the supernatural and his ambition to prove the Aryan origins of the German people by hunting down mystical relics across Asia. During their journey, they stumbled upon something no one expected, a small but exquisitely carved statue that would later become known as the Iron Man. The statue stands about 24 centimeters tall and weighs nearly 10 kilograms, with a prominent swastika symbol carved on its abdomen, a symbol that, for centuries, had represented peace in ancient cultures but had been twisted by the Nazis into an emblem of darkness. Yet, what truly makes the Iron Man unique is not its shape, but the material from which it was made. Nearly 70 years later, after scientists conducted a thorough analysis, they discovered that the Iron Man was not cast from any ordinary metal. Instead, it had been sculpted from a rare ataxite meteorite, a substance rich in nickel and cobalt, believed to have come from the Chinga meteorite that fell over Siberia and Mongolia some 15,000 years ago. This revelation stunned not only archaeologists, but astrophysicists as well, since less than 0.1% of all meteorites found on Earth share this unique composition. As for its cultural origins, many scholars believe the Iron Man likely dates back to the ancient Bon culture, which existed in Tibet long before the rise of Buddhism. According to Tibetan legend, objects that fell from the sky were often regarded as sacred gifts from the gods, passed down as treasured relics through generations. The statue, with its fierce expression and imposing build, is thought to represent Vaisravana, the god of war and protection in Tibetan mythology, a deity worshipped in places considered both sacred and perilous. What's remarkable is that for decades, while the Iron Man remained hidden away in a secret Nazi collection, no one realized it was crafted from material that came from outer space. The German expedition held onto it as a mysterious symbol of power, completely unaware that they were in possession of a cosmic treasure. It wasn't until 2007 that the statue was studied and publicly revealed by scientific experts, instantly becoming one of the rare artifacts that bridges archaeology, history, and astronomy. To this day, the Iron Man continues to fuel debate among researchers about its origins, significance, and true value. It is more than just a small statue lost among the mountains of Tibet. It stands as a symbol of humanity's eternal quest to conquer the mysteries of the universe, a testament to the intersection of ancient belief and modern science, and a reminder of the endless interplay between history's ambitions and legends that never seem to end. The oldest artificial eye in the world, discovered in Iran's burnt city. Amid the arid highlands of eastern Iran lies the ancient city of Shahri-Sukhteh, known as the Burnt City, which once thrived as the center of a mysterious Bronze Age civilization. But it wasn't until 2006 when archaeologists made a shocking discovery that people truly began to grasp the sophistication and knowledge of those who once lived here. Inside an ancient tomb, scientists uncovered the remains of a remarkably tall noblewoman, standing nearly 1.8 meters, far above the average height for her era. Yet, the most surprising find wasn't the exquisite gold jewelry, the polished bronze mirror, or the rare pottery buried beside her. The real marvel was found in her left eye socket, where archaeologists discovered an artificial eye still intact after thousands of years beneath the scorched, blackened earth. This prosthetic eye was crafted from a blend of natural bitumen and animal fat, forming a soft material that fit perfectly within the eye socket while retaining moisture and protecting the surrounding tissue. What astonished modern medical experts was the level of detail. Ancient artisans had used ultra-fine gold threads to mimic the network of blood vessels and had carefully etched the iris and pupil with remarkable realism. This was more than simple decoration. The artificial eye was designed to move slightly with the motion of the head, helping its owner maintain a natural, dignified appearance during ceremonial events. Alongside the woman, archaeologists found a wealth of objects attesting to her elite status: gold necklaces, silver rings, fine porcelain vessels, and a gleaming bronze mirror, items that few in Shahri-Sukhteh could have ever owned. Every detail suggested this woman once held a special position in society, perhaps as a member of the royal family or a powerful priestess. The discovery of the world's oldest artificial eye not only shed light on the medical skill and craftsmanship of the burnt city's inhabitants, but also challenged scholars to rethink the level of care and bodily restoration practiced by ancient civilizations. The legend of Arthur Stone and King Arthur. For centuries, the name King Arthur has stood as a symbol of courage and the spirit of chivalry in England. Most of us are familiar with the legendary image of the king seated at the Round Table in Camelot, alongside the mystical wizard Merlin and the most renowned knights in history. Some stories even claim that Arthur's sister once lived on the mythical island of Avalon, a place whose reality remains a mystery to this day. Yet when we look back at all these tales, no one can say for certain whether King Arthur truly existed or if he was simply a creation of later imagination. Historians and scholars continue to debate fiercely over whether he was ever a real king, as to this day, no one has been able to prove or completely disprove his existence. One ancient monument forever linked to the name of King Arthur is the Arthur Stone, a prehistoric tomb located in the English countryside. This Neolithic burial site is estimated to be 5,000 years old, predating the supposed era of King Arthur by millennia. Even though the dates don't align, local legends have long connected Arthur Stone to mysterious stories about the legendary king. The most famous of these tales recounts how King Arthur once battled a giant on this very field. In the fight, the defeated giant fell backward, causing the massive capstone above the tomb to break in two. Another legend claims that two depressions on the stone's surface are actually the marks left by King Arthur's knees when he knelt in prayer, asking the gods to protect England from invading enemies. Today, even though none of these stories can be verified, Arthur Stone remains one of the most famous and mysterious ancient monuments in Britain. Even if we set aside the King Arthur legend, this ancient tomb continues to fascinate archaeologists and visitors alike, thanks to its incredible age and unique construction. It's this blend of real history and enduring legend that gives Arthur Stone its special allure, making it a place that both recalls a distant past and breathes life into unsolved mysteries that refuse to fade away. The mysterious temples of Malden Island. Lying isolated in the deep blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean, Malden is a small island belonging to the Republic of Kiribati that almost no one in the world has ever heard of. When people think of Kiribati, they might picture coral reefs, white sand beaches, or deserted atolls. But Malden holds a mystery that even archaeologists have yet to unravel. Scattered across this island's modest area are about 40 ancient stone temples, and the strangest thing is that no one knows exactly who built them, when they were constructed, or for what purpose. Malden Island has no source of fresh water. Its climate is harsh, and today it serves only as a sanctuary for seabirds. Yet when the first archaeological team set foot here, they were stunned to discover carefully arranged stone structures, high platforms and broad foundations stretching alongside stone-paved pathways. These ruins are not randomly scattered but carry the clear mark of a community that once lived here, with an entire network of walkways connecting temples as if this was once a large, important settlement. Even though researchers estimate the island's population at its peak could have only been between 100 and 200 people. For years, experts have debated the origins of Malden's mysterious settlers. Some argue that these constructions were built by Polynesians, since the stonework and layout closely resemble other heritage sites scattered throughout Polynesian islands in the Pacific. Others point to similarities with Melanesian culture to the southwest, or even suggest the possibility that a group from Nan Madol, over 3,400 miles away, made their way across the ocean and left their mark here. What truly confounds researchers is how these temples were so sturdily built from massive stone blocks, even though the population at any given time could never have been large enough to complete such grand projects. Not only are there temples, but also stone-paved roads that run straight out toward the sea, leading to spots that are now nothing but sand and salt water. The real purpose of these roads remains a major mystery, since there is no sign these structures were ever used as dwellings. They seem much more like ceremonial temples. Centuries of abandonment have blurred many details, but to this day, the temples of Malden stand as reminders of a vanished culture that left behind no written records. There are no stories, no local legends about the people who once lived here, and archaeological digs have uncovered no inscriptions, artifacts, or personal items that could definitively reveal their identity. Malden Island continues to rest in silence amidst the vast ocean, its ancient temples clinging to their secrets, resisting every attempt by modern explorers to uncover the truth. The strange skeletons at Haverfordwest Priory. In the small Welsh town of Haverfordwest, an archaeological discovery has left many people shocked and raised a host of questions that remain unanswered to this day. When archaeologists began excavating beneath the site of an old shopping center, they never expected to uncover the remains of a medieval friary known as St. Saviour's Friary, once home to the Black Friars, a branch of the renowned Dominican order in Europe. This site was an important part of the region's religious and social history, but what was found beneath its foundations is even more haunting than any story ever told about the place. From the very first layers of Earth, archaeologists encountered numerous fragments of human bone. As the excavation expanded, they ultimately unearthed nearly 100 skeletons scattered around the foundations of the ancient friary. What surprised, and even unsettled, everyone was that about a third of these remains belonged to children under the age of 4. In the face of this discovery, experts were forced to pause and ask themselves, what could have happened here hundreds of years ago? Was there a deadly epidemic that swept through and claimed the lives of so many innocent children? Or is it possible that behind these remains lies some mysterious religious ritual or a tragic event never recorded in the annals of history? According to historical documents, St. Saviour's Friary was under the control of the Dominican order for 300 years, from the 13th century until it was closed in the 1530s, during the era of widespread religious reform across England. After that, the friary was abandoned and gradually faded into obscurity until its land was flattened to make way for the modern shopping center. The abrupt closure of the friary not only ended the religious life of the Black Friars community, but also buried all secrets related to the fate of those who once lived and died there. Although archaeologists have tried to analyze and compare their findings with surviving medical and historical records, to this day, they have not been able to determine the true reason behind the presence of so many young children's remains. There are no clear signs of violent injury or definitive evidence of disease. Some have suggested that this was a burial site for victims of a major epidemic, while others believe the children may have been the offspring of impoverished local families, brought to the friary in hopes of receiving care, only to succumb to the harsh living conditions of medieval times. Whatever the real cause may be, this discovery has opened a new window into the realities of life and death in medieval English society. The silent skeletons beneath the priory's floor have raised deep questions about faith, customs, and the quiet tragedies that shaped a forgotten era. Part 16. The Eye of the Sahara and the Atlantis Hypothesis. Amid the vast arid expanse of Africa's Sahara Desert lies a geological structure so strange that it has fascinated explorers and scientists alike for decades. Known as the Eye of the Sahara, or by its scientific name, the Richaud structure, this formation, when seen from above, appears as a massive circle with a series of concentric rings, like a giant fingerprint pressed into the endless golden sands. Measuring nearly 50 kilometers in diameter, it is so large that pilots have used it as a landmark when flying over North Africa. For many years, the Eye of the Sahara has been the subject of numerous theories, with the most famous being its connection to the legendary city of Atlantis. Some researchers and mystery enthusiasts believe that this is the very site of the ancient civilization that the philosopher Plato described thousands of years ago. They point out that the Richaud structure's ringed shape and immense size closely match Plato's account of the lost city, alternating rings of earth and water encircling a grand metropolis that vanished after a catastrophic flood. Modern scientists, however, have a different explanation for this strange phenomenon. According to them, the Eye of the Sahara is not the remnant of an ancient city, but rather the result of millions of years of geological change. Wind, water, and dramatic shifts in temperature gradually eroded layers of limestone, sandstone, and other minerals, leaving behind the unique concentric formation visible today. Studies show that this area once experienced powerful earthquakes and may have been submerged under seawater tens of thousands of years ago, a fact supported by traces of white salt still found on the ring's surface. Even though the scientific explanation sounds reasonable, the Eye of the Sahara continues to hold a powerful, mysterious allure for explorers and dreamers. Many still believe that somewhere beneath the sands, there may be evidence of a lost civilization. For these seekers, the similarities between this structure and ancient legends of Atlantis are more than mere coincidence. They could be the key to unlocking a whole new chapter in the story of humanity. The 2,500-year-old saddle discovered in Poland. Sometimes a chance discovery in archaeology can open an entirely new chapter in human history. That's exactly what happened in Poland, near the Vistula River, when an archaeologist named Arkadiusz Kuriga and his colleagues unexpectedly unearthed a bronze saddle and an ancient axe estimated to be about 2,500 years old. What made this find remarkable was not just its age, but the story of the people who once used these objects. As Arkadiusz and his team were wrapping up another day of fieldwork, their metal detector suddenly picked up an unusual signal from beneath the earth. They had no idea they were about to uncover traces of a nomadic culture that once shook the vast grasslands of Eurasia, the Scythian warriors. The saddle, skillfully crafted from thin sheets of bronze and bound together with metal cords, demonstrated a level of craftsmanship far ahead of its time in the Iron Age. The axe found nearby was also identified as a special kind of weapon, likely once wielded by a true Scythian warrior. The Scythians were famed nomadic horsemen who once rode across the endless steppe from southern Russia through Kazakhstan and into Eastern Europe. They were renowned for their horseback fighting skills, distinctive saddles, and weapons that were even mentioned in ancient Western records. The discovery of the saddle and axe in Poland stunned archaeologists, since it was previously believed that Scythian warriors rarely traveled this far, let alone reach the heart of Central Europe. This 2,500-year-old saddle does more than confirm the presence of the Scythians along the Vistula River. It suggests that nomadic warrior bands may have ventured deep into the heart of Europe much earlier than once thought, bringing with them their culture, technology, and unmistakable influence. These traces have helped researchers gain a deeper understanding of ancient migration patterns, the blending of civilizations across the old steppes, and the far-reaching impact of nomadic peoples throughout history. The ancient tavern of Lagash, Iraq. In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, the land often called the cradle of civilization, the city of Lagash once thrived as a bustling center of the Sumerian kingdom thousands of years ago. When people think of Mesopotamia, they often picture grand temples and royal palaces, but recent archaeological discoveries have revealed an entirely different side of daily life in this ancient world. Archaeologists from the University of Pennsylvania, while excavating nearly 2 meters below the surface in Lagash, were astonished to uncover the remains of an ancient tavern dating back 5,000 years. The site included an outdoor dining area, long stone benches lined up against the walls, a large oven for cooking, and even a primitive refrigerator known as a zir. This device used water to keep food cool, showing that people long ago had already figured out efficient ways to preserve their food without electricity or modern technology. What's especially fascinating is that some of the ancient bowls still bore traces of cooked fish, a vivid reminder of the meals that were once enjoyed here. People of the time may have savored hot fish right at the tavern, chatting with friends in the shade and creating a warm, social atmosphere that we can still relate to whenever we step into a traditional eatery today. The discovery of such a well-equipped tavern in the heart of Lagash has prompted researchers to rethink their views on ancient social development. It turns out the lives of the Sumerians were not just shaped by religious rituals or warfare, but were rich, varied, and deeply rooted in everyday experiences. Lagash was once one of the largest and oldest cities in Mesopotamia, home to thousands of people from all walks of life and every profession. Discoveries like this ancient tavern help us paint a clearer picture of a dynamic society where people not only built temples and held ceremonies, but also took time to enjoy simple moments, gathering with friends and family. It's a vivid testament that even after thousands of years, the essence of humanity remains unchanged, always drawn to connection and shared moments in daily life. The defense system of Jerusalem. When it comes to legendary cities of humanity, Jerusalem is always a name that evokes countless layers of memory and conflict. Yet few people know that hidden beneath the dust of ages, this city still preserves an ancient defense system that once played a vital role in protecting its inhabitants from some of the most formidable armies in history. Archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority, led by Amit Re'em, recently announced the discovery of a vast and deep moat encircling the old city of Jerusalem. This defensive moat is not like the water-filled trenches that many might picture around European castles. Instead, it is an enormous pit, more than 10 meters wide in places and nearly 7 meters deep, painstakingly dug by hand and hugging the outer walls of the city. The sole purpose of the moat was to slow the advance of any army that tried to breach Jerusalem's formidable defenses. In fact, throughout history, this very moat posed a major obstacle for Crusader forces as they attempted to seize the city during their campaigns in the 11th century. According to historical records, it took the Crusaders 5 grueling weeks to maneuver their troops and siege equipment across the deep trench to reach the inner city walls. But even after crossing the moat, they still faced thick defensive walls and the surprise tactics of Jerusalem's defenders. Many chronicles recount how invading armies were repelled by boiling oil, hammered by volleys of arrows, and counterattacked through secret tunnels dug beneath the ground. The rediscovery of this ancient moat system not only helps researchers better understand the military strategies of ancient Jerusalem, but also offers an intimate glimpse into the lives and unbreakable spirit of those who once lived and fought to defend this sacred city. In the heart of the ever-turbulent Middle East, Jerusalem's deep defensive moat stands as a testament to the ingenuity, determination, and resilience of past generations, leaving a lasting mark on the history of humankind. The fortress near the Great Wall of China, stretching across the deserts and grasslands of northern China, the Great Wall has long stood as a symbol of unwavering defense and strategic vision among the ancient Chinese dynasties. Yet beyond its massive ramparts, these borderlands also conceal countless ancient fortresses scattered across remote regions, many of which have been buried under centuries of wind and sand. Recently, archaeologists in Shanxi province, led by expert Yu Chunli, uncovered an ancient fortress nearly 500 years old, hidden deep within the Mu-Yus Desert. This fortress was built during the Ming Dynasty, an era when Chinese rulers were constantly strengthening the frontier to fend off sudden attacks from northern nomadic tribes. What makes this discovery remarkable is that the fortress remains almost perfectly preserved, offering researchers a rare glimpse into the defensive network that once lined the critical corridors near the Great Wall. Inside the fortress, archaeologists found a trove of relics, terracotta statues, incense burners, weapons, and traces of repeated repairs, evidence that this was once a vital military stronghold, serving both as a checkpoint and a home for soldiers and frontier settlers. The fortress still bears the scars of history, its walls once shattered by fierce assaults, only to be rebuilt and reinforced under the rule of many generations. This discovery not only confirms the existence of a vast defensive network stretching along China's northern frontier, but also tells the story of a land perpetually on the edge, where daily life and warfare were forever intertwined. The boy Boriska and memories of Mars. In recent years, a strange story from Russia has captured the attention of scientists and UFO enthusiasts alike. The story centers on Boriska Kiprianovich, a boy born in 1996 who claims he is not just an ordinary child, but a reincarnated Martian. From a young age, Boriska amazed his parents and teachers with his extraordinary intelligence and remarkable ability to absorb knowledge. But what truly shocked those around him were his stories of past life memories. According to Boriska, he once lived on Mars, a planet that, in his telling, was home to a highly advanced civilization ultimately destroyed by nuclear war. He insists that Martians were much taller than present-day humans, capable of traveling between planets, and frequently visited Earth in the distant past. Boriska's story became even more fascinating as he offered details that left even scientists puzzled. He described the Martian landscape, ruined cities, and mysterious technology that no one today can explain. Most intriguingly, Boriska claimed that a turning point for humanity would come when the secret of the Egyptian Sphinx is finally revealed. He believes there is a hidden door beneath the Sphinx, behind which lies knowledge that could change the entire course of Earth's history, and that once this secret is uncovered, humanity will enter a new era of advancement. Although scientists have never confirmed or fully debunked Boriska's claims, his story has become a topic of lively debate across paranormal forums and reality TV shows worldwide. Believers in reincarnation and extraterrestrial life see Boriska as possible evidence of a deep connection between Earth and other planets. Skeptics, on the other hand, dismiss it all as the extraordinary imagination of a highly intelligent child. The mysterious technology of Abusir, Egypt, When most people think of ancient Egyptian civilization, grand pyramids, enigmatic gods, and immovable tombs built to withstand the ages usually come to mind. But if you ever find yourself at the Abusir archaeological site, just a half hour from Giza, you'll encounter a technological mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Here, among the scattered stones around the pyramid complex of Pharaoh Sahur, archaeologists have discovered numerous drill holes in granite, each marked by a level of precision and smoothness that is almost flawless. These drill holes are not only scattered across the massive granite blocks once used to build the pyramid, but also appear around the ruins of the Sun Temple constructed by Pharaoh Userkaf. What's truly remarkable is that the walls of these holes are polished to a shine, perfectly circular and consistently sized, as if they were created with high-speed modern drilling equipment, the kind still used in today's construction industry. Experts have attempted to reproduce these results using all known ancient methods: copper tools, stone implements, or continuous water dripping to slowly wear away the granite. Yet none of these traditional techniques can achieve the same smooth surfaces or even depths on one of the hardest stones in the world. This has led many to wonder, did the ancient Egyptians really possess a technology far more advanced than what history records? Or were they reusing mysterious tools left behind by an even older civilization? Some researchers suggest these drill marks may be evidence of a prehistoric culture whose stoneworking skills surpassed anything we understand today. Others believe the Egyptians might have inherited secret techniques from highly skilled craftsmen in neighboring regions, but somehow managed to keep these methods hidden for thousands of years. Whatever the answer, the perfectly drilled holes in Abusir's granite continue to stand as one of the most intriguing enigmas of Egyptian archaeology. They not only challenge the imagination of modern scholars, but also hint at a past that may be far more complex, potent, and mysterious than we've ever imagined about the ancient world. The City of Giants, Harla in Ethiopia. Amid the arid landscape of eastern Ethiopia, the ancient city of Harla has been the subject of countless mysterious legends for centuries. Local people have long called it the City of Giants, inspired by its massive stone ruins, walls and structures so imposing that they believed only extraordinary beings could have built them. However, recent archaeological discoveries from a research team at the University of Exeter have shed light on the true nature of this place, revealing a history that is, if anything, even more fascinating. As archaeologists began their excavation, they uncovered a remarkable array of stone architecture, thick walls, complex geometric structures, and a vast cemetery containing hundreds of graves. What makes Harla truly special isn't just the scale or skill of its construction, but the cultural diversity revealed by the artifacts found within its ancient layers. Researchers discovered pottery, coins, and jewelry that originated as far away as Egypt, China, and even the Maldives. Clear evidence that Harla was once a powerful international trading hub connecting Africa to global trade routes spanning entire continents. The archaeological remains also show that Harla was home to many different communities, each with their own customs, languages, and beliefs. There is evidence of Islamic burial rites alongside native religious symbols, indicating that this was a place where cultures met and mingled. Scientists even found traces of local craftsmen and merchants living side by side with foreign traders, creating a society far more dynamic and open than the old folk tales of a city built solely by giants would have us believe. Today, Harla stands not only as a symbol of Ethiopian history, but as proof of Africa's powerful legacy of connection and cultural exchange during the medieval era. The city's sturdy stone walls remain standing after centuries, not as the handiwork of giants, but as a testament to the creativity, perseverance, and diversity of the people who once thrived and prospered in this remarkable place. The ancient city of Tongwancheng, stronghold of the Xiongnu. In the arid Ordos region of northern China, the remains of a once glorious capital now survive only as scattered bricks, golden sands, and faint echoes of a vanished era. This is Tongwancheng, a city built in the 5th century by the Xiongnu under the leadership of Helian Bobo, a chieftain famed for his strategic mind and grand ambitions. Set amid the vast desert, Tongwancheng was once described as the White Capital for its striking city walls, constructed mainly from sand and earth mixed with rice powder for added strength, giving them a unique white hue that stood out against the wild landscape. From its earliest days, the city embodied the aspirations of a steppe empire to become a center of power, gathering soldiers, artisans, and settlers from all corners of northern China. Ancient records tell of Helian Bobo mobilizing hundreds of thousands of workers to erect massive, thick walls designed to protect the city's residents from outside invasions. Yet the city's rapid rise was shadowed by constant threats. The harsh land, limited water resources, and ever-changing climate made life increasingly difficult for its inhabitants. On top of that, Tongwancheng was frequently caught in the crossfire of endless border wars. Historical accounts reveal that after just a few decades, the city suffered repeated attacks, fires, and gradual decline caused by unending political upheaval. Today, anyone visiting this area will find only dunes and silent ruins, reminders of the Xiongnu's golden age. The city's earth and rice walls have been worn down by wind, rain, and the relentless passage of time, but the spirit of Tongwancheng endures as a testament to the drive for greatness and the limits faced by humanity against the forces of nature and history. This ancient city is not just a story of a once mighty nomadic people, but also a reminder that no matter how impressive a civilization may be, it can be swept away if it cannot adapt to the challenges of nature and the twists of fate. The hibernating monster of Antarctica. When most people think of Antarctica, images of endless ice sheets, resilient penguins, and bone-chilling winds usually come to mind. Yet few realize that over 250 million years ago, this frozen land was once home to a remarkable prehistoric creature, Lystrosaurus, a strange reptile that ruled Antarctica during the Triassic period. Scientists from Harvard University have discovered Lystrosaurus fossils in Antarctica, revealing unique features in its tusks. By closely examining the growth rings on these tusks, researchers found clear evidence that this species experienced periods of dramatically slowed development each year. This is a strong sign that Lystrosaurus was capable of hibernation, allowing it to survive the harsh, months-long polar winters when Antarctica was plunged into frigid darkness. What makes this discovery even more extraordinary is that Lystrosaurus managed to survive the Permian period, one of the most catastrophic mass extinctions in Earth's history, when up to 70% of terrestrial animal species vanished. The ability to hibernate helped this reptile conserve energy and withstand extreme conditions that most other creatures simply could not endure. Thanks to this adaptation, Lystrosaurus not only survived but thrived across the vast lands of the ancient supercontinent Pangaea, including what is now Antarctica. The discovery of this hibernating monster offers a new perspective on the evolutionary history of mammals and stands as powerful evidence of life's incredible resilience in the face of nature's greatest challenges. Through such findings, scientists continue to unlock the mysteries of Earth's ancient past, sparking curiosity about the creatures that once dominated the planet long before the age of the dinosaurs. The hollow Earth theory in Antarctica. When most people think of Antarctica, they picture a frozen, windswept land covered in endless ice, remote, inhospitable, and home to little more than hardy colonies of penguins. Yet hidden beneath these thick layers of ice lies one of the strangest conspiracy theories ever circulated, the hollow Earth theory. According to this idea, beneath the Earth's surface is not simply a core of molten rock as modern science has established, but an immense inner world with its own climate, independent ecosystem, and perhaps even mysterious civilizations unknown to us. Believers in the hollow Earth theory claim that Antarctica is the gateway to this hidden realm, with secret entrances buried beneath eternal snow and ice. Although this notion has existed since the 19th century and has been fueled by adventurous writers and explorers alike, to this day there is no scientific evidence to support the reality of a hollow Earth. Modern geological studies, along with data from expeditions and satellite imagery, all confirm that the interior of our planet looks nothing like what these conspiracy theories suggest. Still, the allure of a secret world lying just beneath our feet has never truly faded. The hollow Earth theory in Antarctica lives on in the imagination of many, serving as a reminder that even in an age of science and discovery, there remain countless mysteries, waiting for those adventurous enough to question the limits of what seems possible. The ancient wall in Antarctica. In our age of modern technology, tools like Google Earth have allowed us to explore even the most remote corners of the planet without ever leaving home. Recently, satellite images gathered from Antarctica have sparked heated debate across international forums. Hidden beneath the continent's thick ice, observers have identified a series of mysterious lines, an immense structure resembling a wall stretching for miles, along with other shapes that appear to mimic the famous pyramids or the ziggurats of ancient Babylon. These images reveal unusually straight lines and elevated blocks, prompting many to ask, could these be traces of an ancient civilization that once existed in Antarctica, or are they simply natural features shaped by ice and geology over millions of years? Some independent researchers argue that the structures are far too symmetrical to be mere products of nature, drawing comparisons to the pyramids and ziggurats of Mesopotamia or Egypt, iconic monuments built thousands of years ago. However, most mainstream scientists maintain that these shapes are the result of shifting glaciers, powerful winds, and ongoing geological activity in Antarctica. Ice sheets can fracture, erode, or stack upon each other in ways that create shapes easily mistaken for man-made structures. Although there is no verified evidence to prove the existence of lost cities or ancient walls beneath Antarctica's ice, the story of these mysterious formations continues to fuel the imagination of millions around the world. It serves as a reminder that despite the relentless progress of science, there are still geological and historical mysteries, perhaps lying just beneath the ice, waiting to be uncovered in the future. If you found today's story fascinating, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can continue exploring the world's unsolved mysteries with us. We'll see you in the next video.